Hey guys, thanks for tuning into The Picture Show. I'm Sarah Patterson. Today, filling in for Alex, who may or may not be on a secret ninja mission where he has to be very quiet, just like our movie we're talking about today. I'm here with Danny Foots.
Hello.
And let's check out the trailer.
Total devastation.
Who are we if we can't protect them? We have to protect them.
So that was the chilling trailer for A Quiet Place, directed by John Krasinski, or you may know him better as Jim from The Office. It also netted $59 million in the box office opening weekend. And I'm here with Danny to talk about it. And so let's go right into the beginning of the movie, because I know you're just dying to expel this from yourself.
So, like, the first 15 minutes is separate completely from the rest of the movie. The rest of the movie is great.
Spoilers.
But the beginning, so the movie starts on day 49 of this, semi-post-apocalyptic world with these creatures, and they're at a pharmacy. The entire family is at a pharmacy to get medicine for one of the children. The only reason that this ends up happening is because when they're all walking home, the youngest son presses the sound on a rocket.
Which is the big selling point of the whole trailer.
Exactly, how they draw you in. This kid hits it, and then the creature just comes, wipes him out. That's it. That had almost no bearing whatsoever on the rest of the movie. What was explained there is about, you already know going into it, sound equals death, basically. This opening scene served almost no purpose. If it was gone, the movie wouldn't have changed.
I feel like it might not have had, like, a big purpose, and it might have that plot hole of, like, what you were saying earlier to me about why did they wait 49 days in to travel all the way there just
to get medication, especially. If the world ends, the things everyone's going to get is food, water, medication. That's just it, and guns. And they have everything but the medication on day 50.
While you said medication, and that brought up a very important thing that I just remembered about the whole movie. The whole movie, there was one thing I really did not like. In fact, I didn't even mind the opening scene, but there was this whiteboard in the whole movie that had the most basic dumb stuff that you could write on it.
The New York Post headlines on there were very basic, and his whiteboard had the big thing written on it, what are their weaknesses? What's that for? And it's because, I get it, it's 90% silent. I mean, the script is 5 pages of dialogue, that's it.
Oof, I didn't even realize it was that short.
Yeah, and so that is them trying to articulate without speaking, but I mean, it falls very flat, and they had to do it because they're not supposed to talk.
Well, they were talking, on the board, on that very, very basic board, one of the things on there is medication. So now that you bring that up, that makes even more sense into why the beginning scene was almost just not even needed. But I feel like it really punches people in the gut, and that's what really gets people Whoa.
Yeah.
What
And
am I watching now?
the kid in the beginning getting wiped out by the creature, it had that wow factor because that's your first introduction into this world for them. But if it's not in the movie at all, nothing changes. I mean, the movie's the exact same with or without it. I assume that she maybe would have gotten pregnant again. They wait a year, and then when she's pregnant, because it kicks back on, almost 500 days later.
Well, she wouldn't have been there by herself if that scene wouldn't have happened, because it kind of spills into the teenage angsty daughter who's going through stuff. She feels bad because it's her fault, and she storms off in that scene and leaves her mom by herself, and that's how she ends up being in a bathtub in the trailer by herself with no one around her.
And I think they overlook the fact that children growing up in silence would have been mentally straining enough. They didn't need to have the girl feel guilty about her brother dying.
But that's going to happen. She watched it.
Yeah, well, I would argue that it was partially her fault. But it wasn't. There's other angles they could have done.
The batteries.
And they just didn't. I don't think the beginning was thought through. I think it was just shock factor, and that's the beef of the trailer that draws you in, is that kind of scare tactic, but it's immediate and then it's over.
Well,
it just seemed like it was
not only that,
overdone.
with the rocket ship, why didn't he just let him have it
without the batteries?
Right, it would have none of that would have ever happened, and then his dumb little kid mode, I'll take these too.
And then also, they leave the kids behind to start walking away.
Oh, one of my biggest problem with the whole movie, the number one survival tactic, that is just completely botched, is why are your kids in the back?
Right.
Why are your kids in the back of the line? Why is your youngest kid behind everyone else? That just killed me.
Yeah, if it was to come across as being like they were more concerned with surviving than they were with dying, those things would have been looked into. But you're right, it should have, at some point, John Krasinski should have been in the back, Emily Blunt in the front, the children in between them. That's just a survival thing, so you can keep a track of all your kids. He stops and they walk almost across the whole train track, and they weren't going to stop at all unless he hit the rocket. And when he does that, now they're too far away, so everybody is taking a little bit of blame for that death. But they made the kid stupid just for that scene. That's it. He has no lines. He almost kills them earlier getting the rocket when it falls off the shelf, and the sister slides in and catches it. That would have been a wrap right there. So you knew that the kid was garbage to begin with. That was an interesting
scene to watch her swoop in. I was not exactly sure what was going to happen with that, because you can see the parents in the background, and I'm just oh, that was...
I thought she was going to hit the shelf.
Yeah.
And
it was well done, really.
Yeah.
I like that.
What you anticipated happening didn't, and then that's the only good part of it. There is where they should have died with that rocket, and then they just slowly pulled it and made it 5 minutes later. But it was just shock factor. I don't think it was good or bad for the movie at all. It just was unnecessary, I think. Where it starts after that, on day 479, I'm almost more inclined to see it just from there, because I don't need to know the previous 500 days at all for what the rest of the movie showed, and that would also include that scene. I would never need to know that to get the same impact from that movie.
And you would think, I know this is a hard concept to think about, but you're in this post-apocalyptic world where you can't make noise, and you went to the store and got some medicine, but you didn't think to grab any birth control or anything. I understand that's the whole purpose.
Take the medicine. Why not? Everything is ransacked in the pharmacy except the medicine. There's no way that would ever be the case.
I just realized, it's just, the whole movie is about, Emily Blunt being pregnant and having to have a baby in a silent world, but I understand that would happen. I'm just for real? You really think someone would let that happen?
Yeah, I know it's minor, but in that time frame, there's only one scene, period, where you see them eating. When they have dinner at the table, beyond that, that could have been a plot point for me, because I liked the tension that they had there, because you knew they couldn't talk, and when they passed the stuff, all of the stuff is on, they had padding on everything in the house. They could have centralized more of the story around those dinners, and the teenage angst to be shown between all of them.
I feel like you could have
between everybody.
There was room to add in even more, I feel, and I would have liked to see just a little bit more. You had talked about you were happy about the sign language in the movie, and there was some, but I would have liked to maybe have just a little bit more of their home life, just a little bit more of it, and see the interactions with things that they do every day to keep up with themselves, not just, you know, the fishing.
And they really only show you what John Krasinski does in his spare time, which is the radio signal. He's trying to use Morse code to call out the international radio codes.
But he doesn't touch as much on her earpiece and his idea with that. Is that what he's trying to do? Is he trying to let her hear? Did he know?
I got the impression that she is the only one that can't hear. Like, she's deaf in the movie, so he was trying to have that implant. I forget off the top of my head what they're called, but he's trying to get that implant to work so she can hear just anything. And that's why he had, 50 different ones on the ground. And I hate that they never figure out collectively that earpiece is what is going to save them until like the last second.
I really want to talk more about the earpiece and how that whole fact that her being deaf plays on the movie. But first, before we do that, we need to go check out our DVD and Netflix picks of the week and take a little break. So we'll come back right after that.
Bossier Parish Community College, the fastest growing community college in the nation. Wonder why?
The Division of Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics at Bossier Parish Community College provide cutting-edge technology to students, along with national certifications that allow them to be competitive in today's job market.
The main reason I decided to come to Bossier Parish Community College was when I looked at the networking program, it was the best in the area.
Bossier Parish Community College. Check us out. You'll understand why.
Hey guys, it's me, Alex Richardson, your usual host for The Picture Show, but today I'm bringing you what's new to Netflix and DVD. Starting off, we got Sin City starring Clive Owen and Mickey Rourke. This cinematic marvel tells the story of 3 different people all caught up in a violent, dark corruption of the dark and miserable Sin City. Next up is Scarface starring Al Pacino and Michelle Pfeiffer. In Miami in 1980, a determined Cuban immigrant takes over a drug cartel and succumbs to his greed and his life unravels. After that, we got Seven starring Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman. 2 detectives, a rookie and a veteran, hunt a serial killer who uses the 7 deadly sins as his motives. Next, we got Proud Mary starring Taraji P. Henson. When a hit woman for a Boston crime family crosses paths with a young boy during a botched hit, her life is completely turned around. Up is Braven starring Jason Momoa. A logger defends his family from a group of dangerous drug runners. Then we got Molly's Game starring Jessica Chastain and Idris Elba. The true story of Molly Bloom, an Olympic-class skier who ran the world's most exclusive high-stakes poker game and became an FBI target. That's all we got for you this week, so tune in and keep watching.
All right, welcome back to The Picture Show, where we're talking about A Quiet Place today. I'm here with Danny Foots, and we spent the first part of the show kind of tearing it apart, kind of pointing out some pretty big plot holes, but as Danny stated, we both have a lot of really good stuff to say about the movie as well. And we left off talking about the earpiece that the young daughter has in the movie.
Right.
And what we find out later in the movie is that the creatures that hunt by sound are also
they're susceptible to high frequency.
Right.
And it does not bode well for them. And they show it 3 times in the movie. They hear normally, but they have like an extra sensor that's when it opens up and it shows you like the innards of their ear. They can pick up like the really faint sounds, and that's what makes them go haywire with this thing. They show you that it works at one time when she's in the field, but even she doesn't know that that's what has them pulled away.
On.
You know as the viewer, so you're like you want them to
make
the connection.
It's so rough because she's deaf and she doesn't know, and I'm just like, why? Everything could be prevented if we just knew.
For as big as a plot hole as I think the beginning is, a great just plot point is her being deaf. In all the scenes where it's just her, there's absolutely no sound whatsoever because you're submerged into her world, which is wonderful. And even if there's just one other person in the scene with her, they bring the sound in. It's just when she's by herself. So I like that aspect of it, but then, yeah, you hate it because when you see the monster behind her freak out because her earpiece goes crazy, she doesn't know that it's gone and he's gone into a cornfield, and you're just thinking, well, you need to be around for the rest of the movie. And they really stray away from her until the very end, when it all makes sense to her and Emily Blunt when they figure it out.
The ending is definitely something we'll touch on later. That was interesting.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed how they played on that. It really, the whole movie is so silent, and things in scary movies, whenever they get silent, something's about to pop up. But the thing about A Quiet Place that just makes it so suspenseful was that so much of the movie was quiet.
Yeah.
When the jump scares, I would say, come up, you're just like, oh, I didn't see that coming at all.
Well, the one that I even saw coming and still scared me is when the kid knocked over the lamp on the floor.
Oh.
He knocks it over, they put out the fire, and then they're just waiting there. But the tone never changes because it's just silent the whole time, and it's a good minute and a half of them waiting to see if they heard him, and then the rat jumps off the roof, and man, I panicked. It was so scary, and it was just the rat. And so that played very well to it, because in most horror movies with dialogue, you have these 15, 20-minute windows of the movie's content, and then a small 30 to 60-second gap of it being quiet, and it's coming.
Right.
You just couldn't see it in this movie because it's so silent.
And when everyone's walking around, it's just, there's so many tropes to be played, and I feel like making the movie silent really takes a lot of those away and kind of made more of an original, I would say very original concept.
Conceptually, never seen anything like it. And movies in 2018, directors are not trying to push silent movies. It doesn't happen anymore. The only movie I can think before this that has just as much silence is 2001, and that is 30 plus years old now. And they just don't happen. And so the original script to this only had one line of dialogue. When John Krasinski jumped on board, he added the waterfall scene. So, and they had to do that because it portrayed the baby at the end of the scene when the water is leaking in. So that part I really liked, and that was the only additional dialogue added. The only line that was in there before was him telling his son, "You're safe," when he says it out loud when they're on the river because they say the soft noise. That was it initially. That was the only line in the whole movie.
I really enjoyed that he went in and added that because it really, the movie, there's so much to include. It doesn't touch as much on maybe some of the family time that I would have liked.
Right.
So whenever he takes him out and they're having that touching moment of getting to speak to each other in this very rare occasion, it just really kind of brings you even closer into the circle.
And they were able to make that an intimate scene where a waterfall, so they go behind a waterfall and that drowns out their voices, which for the scene when it happens you think is great because they're having this really good moment, but it is immediately what I thought of at the end. They're in a Emily Blunt is in a basement with the baby and the water is leaking through. I knew she was going to have to go behind it when the creature came in there, and I really liked those tie-ins. And those were really far apart, and you just knew immediately when you saw the water she was going to go behind it. And
what did you think about the box for the baby? And
creepy.
When you in the beginning of the movie when you see that box, it gives you chills.
I was trying to figure out, I get it. It's post-apocalyptic. There's not going to be a bassinet from Walmart you can go get, but they made a coffin. That's what it is. It's a coffin, and I couldn't figure out what they were doing with the oxygen.
Oh yeah.
And then when you see the baby go in there, they put the oxygen mask on it and close the box, and the baby's just there breathing. So that's how they were trying to drown out the sound, because you are wondering the whole time, how do you give birth silently, and then how do you keep a baby silent?
I immediately knew when I saw the box and the oxygen what was going on, and it immediately made the blood drain out of my face because it's so sad and eerie. And
it
I'm
was
just
even worse when she wakes up when the room is flooded and you just see the box floating around on it. That made me very uneasy, and I just thought, oh, baby's dead. They decided to put a dead baby in this movie.
Any scary or horror movie that you take and then you put the aspect of children in it, 10 times creepier.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Yep.
All the time.
Especially this one, because when she wakes up, not only do you see the box floating with the baby in it, the creature is just standing in the water, just waiting for some noise to hear.
So now that you bring up the creature, we've talked about how this movie is like not traditional scary movies. So it's like things aren't, what you see isn't creepy.
Yeah, it's potential. Stuff is potentially scary.
But at the end, you get to see the creature, and I really enjoyed getting to get a look at it, like up close before the end of the movie. I liked how they gave you all of the details of its physical form.
When
It
its
was
face
really well
opens
done.
up, that was one of the crazier things, because I thought it was just his ears, because you only see the two flaps in the beginning, and then at the end, when the frequency messes it up, its whole head opens up. Yeah, that was pretty
cool.
intense. And they didn't
Whoever
show you that
designed
before.
that creature, I mean, that.
Yeah. It looked like the Demogorgons from Stranger Things, but
a little
like thinner and more streamlined to be like an attacker, because they gave it like a spider quality, which was kind of weird. But it only had four legs, and it had spikes from like the aliens and Starship Troopers. Like that's exactly what it looked like, the bugs from that movie. But a good, unique creature. They didn't oversell it, and I liked the only thing that was on the whiteboard that made sense was the confirmed number of them that he had seen. I liked that because I was trying to figure out, was it the same one that was just hunting that area? And then at the end, it's not, when they're all coming through the field and you see them all running in.
Before we get to the end and we say our final words about the movie, we need to go check out our Friday Flick Pick on what's coming out this weekend and take a short little break, and then we'll be back to finish up.
Hey, what's going on, Movie Flickies, and welcome back to a Friday Flick Picks. I'm your host, Terry Hawkins. And this week we have Rampage, starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who plays a primatologist named Davis Okoye, who shares an unshakable bond with George, the extraordinary intelligent gorilla, who has been in his care since birth. But a rogue genetic experiment gone bad transforms the gentle ape into a raging monster. As these newly created monsters tear across North America, destroying everything in their path, Okoye teams up with a discredited genetic engineer to secure an antidote, fighting his way through an ever-changing battlefield, not only to halt a global catastrophe, but to save his fearsome creature that was once his friend. Check out a trailer.
I rescued George when he was 2 years old. He's not just a friend. He's family. Don't move a muscle.
Are you crazy? No! Don't move!
Okay. Very funny. You and I laughing at your joke. New guy, he no laugh. He cry. You can get up now.
And check your diaper. Come on. Let's go.
Got your message about George. You okay?
I don't know.
George? It's okay.
Is it me or is he considerably bigger?
No, he's definitely bigger. I need to find someone who knows exactly what the hell this thing is.
I found her. No, that's a lie. Technically, she found us.
What's happening to my friend?
Are you familiar with genetic editing? Changes will be incredibly unpredictable. Increased strength,
George!
speed, agility.
No!
Crowded cells and chains that can't run.
Where's George? I need to see him.
He is dangerous.
I think it's time for me to turn the middle around.
We're gonna die!
Probably!
We've created the next chapter in natural selection. Project Rampage works.
You got another one of your little science experiments running around.
What do you mean another one? Incoming!
Sound the alarm, it's time to cross the line.
Of course, the wolf flies.
Stop me. Oh, somebody stop me. Stop me. Please, somebody stop me. Oh, somebody stop me.
It's time we throw everything we can at these things and get people the hell out of that city.
Let's go save the world.
That's a big arm. Don't fight it.
You know there are other ways of dealing with people, right?
I do know that, yeah, but that's no fun. George? You okay? Ready to do this, buddy?
Now that was a rocking trailer. All right, that's enough from me. Thanks for watching Friday Flick Picks. See you next time.
All right, welcome back. We're finishing up talking about A Quiet Place, and to run things out real quick, throughout the whole movie you see a string of white lights that surrounds the family's property where they stay. And to finish the movie off, you finally realize what those lights are for, and the wife, who is pregnant and about to have her baby, has these creatures coming into her house and coming after her, and she runs down and switches them to red. And Danny?
Red means run.
Red means run. So finish off the movie for us.
So once she switches the lights over to the red, and nobody's in the house with her, so it's the alert for if you're coming back, you know. Each character does find their way back to the house. The red lights are that. Everybody goes in to try to, help her because they know she's having the baby. The kids end up being lost outside. They go to the silo because that's where their safety point. John Krasinski goes in, rescues not only Emily Blunt, but the baby, and puts them in their underground little
bunker.
Yeah, they have an underground bunker that's supposed to be soundproof. That's what they spend the movie doing on and off, is soundproofing this room for when the baby is born. They get down there with it, and then when he goes to rescue the children at the silo, they make noise, and he makes an attempt to kill one of the things, and it absolutely fails. It cuts him across the stomach. The kids try to do their escape into the truck, which I thought the truck was great because the emergency brake goes and it takes them back down to the house. That was really
a good plan. Like, you don't know, you think he's just playing in the truck, but he knows that truck has a purpose.
Yeah, he was practicing.
Right.
Yeah. And so the kids, are safely in this truck, which has now gone down to the house, and unfortunately, the only way that John Krasinski thinks that they are going to be saved entirely is by killing himself to let the kids get with Emily Blunt.
He makes a really loud noise.
Yeah, and they all come after him.
Sacrifices himself, and then you hit the e-brake on the truck, and the truck sitting on top of the hill goes all the way down to the end of the house, and then they're all united back together with Emily Blunt, except for
John, of course.
Yep. And that's whenever collectively they find out that they can be killed by sound. And do you think they have a fighting chance for the end? So it ends with a pretty good high up looks, I would say. But that's all the time we have for today. I highly suggest you go see this movie. Thanks, Danny, for coming on and watching it with me. Until next time, guys, keep watching movies.